All right, we are going to look today at the anatomy of a Trumpian lie. I'm going to try to explain in the clearest possible terms how this works, how they try to get away with it. Howard Lutnick went on Fox News and was interviewed by Kellyanne Conway. These are really like the Grinch who stole Christmas type stories. The economy grew 4.3%. That's great. I mean, listen, GDP growth is good. I'm not saying it's a fake number. I'm not saying 4.3 GDP. That is a great number. And Howard Lutnick goes on TV and he says to Kellyanne Conway, the fact that the GDP went up 4.3% means everybody earns 4.3% more money. Now, that is not true, but that is what Howard Lutnick said. Lutnick, I believe, knows it's not true. He's not stupid. I think Kellyanne Conway also, even though economics is not her primary area of focus, I think Kellyanne Conway also knows that it's not true, but she allows it. Let's listen and then I will explain.
The 4.3 GDP growth, beating it by a full point of 3.3. How does that affect our bottom line, our pocketbook issues?
So just think, the whole world out there in the third quarter, the United Kingdom grew 0.1. The European Union grew 0.4, and Japan fell 0.6%. Fell 0.6%. Donald Trump's economy grew, the United States of America, the biggest economy in the world, 4.3%. What that means is that Americans overall, all of us, are going to earn 4.3% more money. We're making a raise. It's a simple way to do it. We've got more jobs, lower energy costs, and lower interest rates coming.
All right, listen. GDP growth does not mean wages go up. It does not mean salaries rise. It does not mean household income increases. GDP is a measure of the total value. I feel like I'm back in Macro 101 with Professor Richard Wolff at the University of Massachusetts. GDP measures the total value of goods and services produced in the country. Doesn't measure what workers are paid. GDP can go up for a lot of reasons that do not translate to anybody who works making more money. It can go up because corporate profits go up, because companies raise prices, because stock values increase, or because of higher government spending. None of those guarantee that regular workers see a single extra dollar. And by the way, even when incomes do go up, the gains are often concentrated at the top. You might be able to say, well, the mean wage increase was 4.3%, but it might be 15% for those at the top, and it might be less than inflation for those at the bottom. A relatively small number of people earning a lot more can push GDP higher while workers see little or no change whatsoever. The other aspect of this that's important is inflation. If wages rise by 2%, and prices rise by 3%, people are actually worse off in terms of their buying power, even in a period of so-called strong economic growth. If you get a great GDP number alone and you look at it outside of this context, it doesn't really tell you anything. The other aspect of this is population growth. The country has a growing population. GDP can grow, but because you have more people, GDP per capita might barely move. What actually matters for living standards is income per person, not the overall size of the economy. Howard Lutnick knows this. He's a very wealthy finance executive. He understands this as a concept. He understands what GDP measures and what GDP does not measure. So he's not confused. He's not saying, well, this is a simple shorthand for what is going on. He knows that this is nonsense. This is a propaganda statement. And I think Kellyanne Conway, who knew alternative facts was a nonsense thing when she said it, just like Trump probably understands that the tariffs are taxes. I think Kellyanne Conway knows that 4.3 GDP doesn't mean everybody makes 4.3% more. She lets it go with no challenge, no correction, no follow-up, because that is how the distortions work. She allows it to go by, which reinforces to the audience, it must be true because Kellyanne didn't challenge him about it. That would matter if the goal were accuracy. The goal is not accuracy. The goal is to protect confidence in the president and create a comforting narrative that everybody can go, GDP is up 4.3, So Trump got me a 4.3% raise, even if you know you didn't get a raise and that everything is costing more. The anatomy of a Trumpian lie is to take a concept, strip away the nuance, replace it with a feel-good falsehood, and then go on TV, say it confidently, and have the friendly host, Kellyanne Conway, not say, wait a second. So the lie doesn't really need to survive scrutiny. It needs to go unchallenged. And that is exactly what they accomplished. This is how they do it. And look at how it was much more complicated for me to explain the reality. And this is the unfortunate thing about it. If you go and just generically say, cutting taxes for the rich stimulates the economy. Wow. I mean, I guess that's pretty concise and pithy. That must make sense. To explain it, I can't just say to you, no, it doesn't. I have to actually explain why and explain marginal propensity to consume and how tax deductions work and how business expenses are already tax deductible. I've got to explain all of this stuff to you. We've talked about other examples of this when the right says, well, listen, taxes are a burden, so getting rid of them is tax relief. I don't just come in and go, no, taxes are awesome and they should be as high as possible, because that's not what I believe. That's not what the left believes. We are trying to explain when they are simply coming up with talking points that are unfortunately really effective. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.